There's a saying in basketball that great shooters are born, not made. I'm here to tell you that's not true. This was me my freshman year of high school. I was a good player, but I couldn't shoot consistently to save my life. So I had a decision to make: stay mediocre or adapt. 12 years of relentless work later, that weakness is now my biggest strength.
You were a non-shooter and now you're paid to shoot,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's crazy when you think about it.
It's the main reason I'm a professional basketball player today. This video is a story of that evolution, and I hope it can help some of you who understand just how valuable the skill of shooting is. The first thing I want to point out is that everyone is going to be different. I'm going to give you some shooting tips and explain how my form has evolved over the years, but every shot is unique. I heard Moses Moody, who I actually got to play in college, talk about this on a podcast recently.
So a big thing that I learned about shooting from being with Steph and Clay is that there's only so much you can learn about learn from somebody else. I sat there and watched Clay do workouts. I stopped and I started watching Steph. That mess up my shot sometimes when I go and start trying to make my form look like his.
I believe it's important to learn from others, but also figure out what works for you, because every shot is different. Every player is unique. Just keep that in mind as I talk through my own transformation. So the furthest back I've filmed myself is actually my freshman year of high school, which is perfect because that's the year right before my shot changed. Apologies for the quality of some of these clips not being amazing. They were filmed about 12 years ago, and it was actually even hard to find clips of me shooting because, like I mentioned, at the time, I just didn't shoot that much. But here is what my shot looked like back then. I'd release the ball from the side of my head, almost like a slingshot. Now, I'm assuming I developed this when I was younger and I wasn't strong enough to reach the hoop from three. This was my way of generating power, but each shot looks like it's taking a lot of effort. If you watch some of the best shooters, a common theme is that their shot tends to look effortless. The other big thing I noticed is my feet. I had really slow, lazy feet. I'm almost never shot ready, and instead of catching and thinking shot immediately, I realize I'm wide open and then I shoot it. One other thing you might have noticed is that not many of these shots are going in, and that's not because I only picked misses. It was genuinely hard for me to find many made threes from my freshman year, and because I wasn't a consistent shooter, there would be many situations like this where I would pass up wide open shots. This held my entire game back. So after that freshman season, I was fortunate enough to meet Kerry Fodderingham, who I still train with to this day. When we first started working together, he immediately noticed we had to make some foundational changes to my form. These boiled down to 4 major fixes. First was incorporating a turn in my feet to align my shooting shoulder to the rim. Squaring up is now seen as outdated, but at the time, that's all I was taught. Second was to get rid of the hitch I had where I'd shoot to the right side of my head. I remember I once had a coach who told me I had to shoot over my head or else I was going to get blocked. As we know from many great shooters, this is just not true. So the goal was to become a one motion shooter. The third change was to improve my dip. The dip is how most shooters get their power, and yet again, before Kerry, many of my coaches told me not to dip because it would slow down my shot. And lastly was to improve my shot preparation. We focused on hopping into my shot, which would help the speed and fluidity of the entire process. So those were the 4 focuses: the turn, one motion, the dip, and the hop. I'll let you know later in this video if I still believe in those changes. So here are some clips from our first few months working together, and as you can see, my shot looks kind of crazy. I was overcorrecting certain aspects of it, which made me over-exaggerate my turn and how one motion my shot was, and I love how Kerry explains this process of skill and specifically shot development.
Think about the kids you see at Grit. What do their spin moves look like when they first start?
Yeah, they're kind of wild and all
over
over the place.
Their spin moves are crazy. Some kids, I've seen a kid come out of a spin and they almost trip and fall down.
Over,
yeah, so it's the same with anything, right? When you first learn how to shoot, a certain way, you like overturn, your prep is weird, your balance is off at the end. So like you might have had coordination issues when you're learning, like to the turn, or you're learning to dip just like any kid, or you're learning to fluidly shoot in one motion. But over time of practicing those things, your body starts working better and better together, and then you created a very effective and efficient shot. When your body wasn't sure what you were figuring things out, you would shoot from different, just didn't have a prep. You just would just throw it up from different things. So you see all these wonky things that happen throughout your shot.
When I look at my shot from our first few sessions together to what my shot looks like currently, 12 years later, it doesn't even feel like they're in the same stratosphere. But when you go year by year, from high school to college and then to my shot as a pro, you can see the small, gradual changes. During that first period, there was a lot of frustration. I would miss a lot, even airball shots, and sometimes I felt like I just couldn't get my form right. But the vision was there. My arc, release time, power, and shot prep all got so much better. While I wasn't making shots consistently yet, those changes were a microcosm of what my shot could one day become. This is an incredibly important part of the skill development process. Young basketball players should not be training for tomorrow's practice or next week's game. You need to be training for the future. And luckily, Kerry understood this too.
We always talk about helping kids be great for like the future, right? So we're not training kids for right now. I think a lot of people that got, they're like, how can I win a game now? Or this kid doesn't look good doing this now. But to me, it's about helping a kid be the best they can be in the future. So they're not going to be great at something right at the beginning. So we have to make a choice. Are we willing to give room for this kid to grow and coach for the future, or are we going to coach him for right now?
So although my shot looked crazy just a few months into our work together, Kerry saw the vision. And I remember a moment specifically where it all started to click. And I remember I was struggling. And then there was one game where I had like 4 threes in AAU, that spring AAU season. Yeah. And it was like, I was like, oh my God, I can hit 4 threes in a game. Something's happening here. Yeah, and it's like, you got to keep going until there's going to be a moment or like an aha moment. Like, whoa, I proved to myself I can do this. Yeah. I knew I was nowhere near my potential as a shooter, but I was making progress. I was starting to prove to myself this evolution was possible, that I was going in the right direction. This is another really valuable lesson. Confidence and belief in yourself on the court is a process. As I worked harder in my training and stayed open-minded when it came to some of the things I was struggling with at the time, I began to make more shots in games. Once I started making shots more consistently, I felt more comfortable shooting. If I had missed one shot my freshman year, I would almost always stop shooting. My sophomore year, this was less of an issue. My junior year, even less, and by my senior year, a missed 3 would rarely deter me. I have had these aha moments all throughout my basketball career. When I hit 6 threes in a state game my senior year of high school, when I had 4 straight threes in the NCAA tournament my senior year of college, when I hit 8 threes on the road at Syracuse my 5th year of college, or even when I hit a career high 9 threes in a game as a first-year pro in Finland. If you are putting in the work, you'll have these moments too. They might be rare at first, but when you work at something for years, they begin to happen more often. And that is when you have truly started to unlock your potential as a player. Let's talk about how Kerry and I train and how my workouts have evolved over the years. One thing I get asked a lot when it comes to shooting is, should my form look the same every time? Back then, I think both Kerry and I would have said yes, that a shot should be repeatable, but both of our philosophies on this have changed over the years.
Now I have a realization, it's not about a shot looking the same and being repeatable every single time. It's about creating a variety within the shooter. So a shooter to shoot from logo and from volleyball might be different to even shooting a corner 3, right? It's just such a different shot. And then shooting a mid-range pull-up is a different shot. Shooting a turnaround, going to your right shoulder, left shoulder, all different shots. So helping a player develop a variety of shots is to me my current focus, and I might evolve again 5 years from now, but that's how I look at it now.
A well-rounded shooter can do many things. Let's look at some examples. We've got a regular catch and shoot, a transition catch and shoot, a catch and shoot while sprinting, a step back going left, step back going right, turn around over the right shoulder. You get the idea. All of these shots require different footwork, different angles, and therefore different form. That's why if you want to become a great shooter, you can't just be taking standstill catch and shoot threes your entire workout. Yes, there are benefits to dialing in this aspect of your game, but it's going to hold you back from being efficient and confident taking all those shots that raise the level of your game. So when it comes to your training, my best piece of advice is to get creative. There are thousands, maybe millions of shooting workouts all over the internet. That's why I don't really make shooting workout videos. I feel like other people are doing it better. So go watch those and pull out what you like, what you feel like will be beneficial to your own game. A lot of times that's how I structure my shooting workouts, even now as a pro. As basketball players and shooters, we are never a finished product. We can always learn and improve.
I think a shot's always evolving.
Yeah.
I think it's always evolving. So I think you should always be trying to help a kid develop and maybe increase their arc to get a better drop, or to add a two motion, right, a mid range, or to add a turnaround. Like, I think you should always be trying to add and grow to help that kid grow. It's crazy when you think about it. You're a non-shooter, and now you're a professional. Your strongest attribute, or one of your strongest attribute, is your ability to shoot. So it shows how much work you put in and how you can transform yourself over time. And it shows that certain techniques can help kids.
Let's look at my shot today when it comes to those 4 foundational changes we talked about at the beginning. I still turn when I shoot, but far less than when we first began this process. My feet tend to land at the same angle as where they start. I still shoot pretty one motion, but not as much as the beginning. My release point has lifted to be more in front of my face, and on certain shots closer to the basket, I use more of a two motion shot. My dip has stayed about the same. It helps me gain power and has never slowed down my shot like I was told. And when it comes to the hop, honestly, I almost never use it. I feel much more comfortable using the 1-2. And that is why we believe that everybody is different. Like Moses Moody said in the beginning, trying to exactly copy someone like Steph Curry is probably just gonna get you in trouble. Everyone needs to find what is comfortable and what works for their unique shot. Thanks to Carrie for helping make this video possible. We posted the full conversation in our Hacking Hoops community. If you're looking for a space to connect and learn from other players and parents going through this basketball journey, check out this video's description for more information. As always, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will talk to you soon.